Hello everybody, and thank you for clicking on my very first YouTube video. I have already attempted to film this before, but I did not like the format I did, especially since I don't know how to edit, at least not yet. So I decided to do a slideshow. This format might change in the future, but for now I think this will be fun. I liked making it. It gives me a chance to just put the basics on the screen and then delve into it more as I talk. So, my channel, I really like to review things. I've been told I am a harsh critic, but I just like to say that I am a very opinionated woman who likes to talk about things that she likes, dislikes, loves, and hates. I mean, come on. So I really love the Otome community. I have not had one bad experience, whether it's YouTube, the subreddit, the Facebook group, Discord servers. Everybody's just so nice and sweet, and I really love our niche community. We're all here to just enjoy 2D men and great love stories. So I would love to contribute in my own way. And the way I would like to contribute is I would like to talk and review Otome, but not just Otome. I'll get into that towards the end of the video. But kind of give a perspective of a casual Otome enjoyer who only really gets to play the English localizations. And just, your casual reviewer. So that's where I'm coming from. This is not going to be a comprehensive review. I will leave that to Otome Kitten, who has great reviews. If you don't know who they are, look them up. They're great. But this is more of a what I look for, what I like, what I thought. And there will not be any spoilers per se, like with CGs. I will only use the CGs that are used on the website. I will not spoil anything plot heavy. The most I will personally spoil is character tropes and maybe what I thought about the roots regarding if they're angsty, like the themes like that. And if that is something you just want to go into the game completely blind, I would suggest staying away from reviews. But I will be going into that. Character tropes like if they're a Kunder or a Yandere, bodyguard, those kind of things like that. So if that interests you, just stick around. So, Nightshade. I played it on the Nintendo Switch. I believe it was the first Otome that was localized on the Nintendo Switch when it first came out. I'm not completely sure, that's just what I've heard. And it was released all the way back in 2018, almost 2019. And I only just started to pick it up here in 2024. I bought it sometime last year when it was on sale. And since I am a physical collector and for fun, I actually, right before I came to sit down, I just got Tengoku Struggle in, and that's what I'm going to be playing next. So I'm more of a physical collector, but when there's games that are on sale and I don't have it yet, I'll typically pick it up, and then if I really love the Otome, then I'll pick it up physical. Things like that. So I did pick it up digitally. I have not seen it physical in the English version. I've only seen the Japanese version. So if it ever, I don't know if I'll buy it, because that's a lot more money. Just to let you know. And I don't know if there's an English patch in the store for it either. And the rating is M for mature, and I'm guessing that it's because there's violence, there's death, things like that. But I didn't see anything sexual or steamy, spicy in that regard, so I think the M is more for the violence. And there's drugs and some roots, things like that. So the synopsis. I'm not going to read all of this. I'm just going to, if you would like to read it, pause it. This is the official synopsis. I'm just going to go over what I could remember. I just finished playing it about 3 or 4 days ago. So the story of Nightshade is about these two rivaling ninja clans, Iga and Koga, who were warring against each other about 16 or 17 years ago. And in order to make peace, the head of the Koga clan married the head of the other ninja clan, I'm pretty sure. The woman was either the sister or the daughter, and then there was the male of the other ninja clan. They had a child after getting married, and that's who we have as our main character, Inju. And the main plot of the story, I will not go into too much besides what it says on here, but there was a conspiracy. And that's part of the common route, and then once you reach that part of the common route, it'll branch off to the different routes for the different love interests. I always would like to talk about my initial thoughts before playing because they can change so rapidly, and it can also show you where my headspace was before playing. So I picked it up because I was using the subreddit to look for another Yondir route I could play, because I'm one of those weirdos, I say that affectionately, that loves Yondirs. Maybe not in real life, but in my fiction, in my love stories, I don't mind it every once in a while. I think it's funny and fun. And so I asked the subreddit, and someone suggested me Nightshade. And the reason I was in the mood for a Yondir is because, I won't spoil, I had just finished playing a specific route that was Yondir in a specific newer release. So, and that one was really good. And I will get into whether I liked it in this game or not. So, for who I was interested in first was Hanzo, because of all of he's the fan favorite of the game, and every time someone talks about Nightshade, he's usually always brought up. So I played it because of him, and I thought he looked good. And then I was also interested in Chodoro because of his long hair, and I will show him later in the slideshow. So those were the two characters I was interested in the most. And for the character I was into least visually, for my luck, was Kuroyuki. I'll get into it here in a little bit. I'll just say I was not interested in his aesthetics. It wasn't for me. If it's for you, great. For me, not so much. So, for the playthrough order, I played through the order from the popular recommendation of Goemon, Hanzo, Chodoro, Kuroyuki, and Gekamaru. And I agree with this route playthrough because it's from the least plot heavy all the way to, I'd say, like the most plot heavy. I would say Kuroyuki and Gekamaru are about even in plot relevations and mystery. I will say Kuroyuki's is a bit more predictable, and Gekamaru's surprised me, and I'll get into that later as well. So I would recommend this plot route as well. Goemon and Hanzo's is not angsty. Chodoro's is the most angsty, and Gekamaru's is angsty as well. Kuroyuki's is probably right in the middle. It's not super angsty, but it's not super lighthearted like Goemon's either. It's mostly plot focused, so I think that's a good balance. I think it's good to nail in the two lighter hearted ones. I really enjoyed them. Get the angsty one in the middle, then Kuroyuki's, so you can solve a lot of the mysteries that are hanging around in the other routes, and then Gekamaru's, which I would consider the true route of the game, and end with Gekamaru. So that's what I would suggest as well. So, Goemon. Goemon took me by surprise. I had no idea I would like him as much as I did. To be honest, I did not look at... I didn't look at any heavy plot or spoilers or anything like that going in, so I didn't know anything about Goemon. I did know from what his... everything underneath the CGs are released on the website, and then the small little character synopses are from the website as well. So there's nothing that's not publicly known included. So anyway, I knew he was kind of like the Robin Hood of the game, but I didn't really look into him too much because at first I wasn't super interested in him. But once I was introduced to him in the common route, I really, really liked him. Like a lot. He is a ladies' man, and if you see his character in the game, he kind of has like a little bit of like a chest window where you can see his abs. And the way he talks, and he's so charismatic and flirty, I fell for him. So I get it, ladies. I get it. I'm with you. He is trash, and I am a raccoon. I will eat it up. So I really liked Goemon. I really liked his CGs. Even his bad ending CG is really nice. I will say I like all the bad ending CGs better than the happy ending ones, to be honest. But I'll get into that towards the end as well. But he's kind of like that smooth talker, kinda a little bit mysterious. His plot, his route goes more into his personal background as him as a character. And yeah, so that's where I'll leave Goemon. Hanzo, the one everybody likes. I am also a fan. I really liked Hanzo. I get the hype. And his voice actor, can't remember the voice actor's name off the top of my head, but he also is very popular for voicing a lot of different anime characters. I believe one of his most famous is Nanami from Jujutsu Kaisen. I love Jujutsu Kaisen. So that was amazing. I didn't know that that was his voice actor going into the game. So when I started playing the common route, and the first word he said, I was like, Nanami, is that you? So I looked it up and I was like, yep, that's his voice actor. So that's also a really good treat. I think that also adds to the charm of Hanzo. He is the oldest love interest in the game. The age gap is fairly wide, but I personally don't mind it, especially for the time period that the game takes place in. There's going to be a lot more taboo things that were acceptable in that time period that might not be now. And plus, it's fiction, it's not real, so nobody's getting hurt. But there is quite an age gap, so if you like the age gap trope, I would suggest you'll probably really like Hanzo. He is a Kundere, so he's more of a stoic, quiet, strong man, kind of distant, but once you get closer to him, he kind of opens up. Kind of like a Jumin from Mystic Messenger, or maybe a Dante from Pure Fiore. So that kind of trope. And yeah, he's super strong. He kind of fills in a little bit of a bodyguard trope in their route together. So yeah, I will go into more what I liked and disliked about Hanzo later with everyone. Next in the middle is Chojiro's. I knew his route was going to be angsty. I was still not prepared for how angsty it actually is. Super angsty from start to end. It's crazy angst. Get the tissues ready because it's a lot. So Chojiro is from the rivaling clan from back in the day before it got absorbed into the one that it is now. So he's a little bit of an outsider, and he has like a tiny, not as big as a Hanzo, but there is a bit of an age gap too with Chojiro as well. He is, just gonna say it, he's the cousin of our main character. Yeah, I know, but it's like I said before with Hanzo, it's fiction. It was more acceptable back in that time period. So yeah, they're cousins. But he was young enough, or old, should I say old enough, but still young to remember what happened 17 years ago during the Ninja War. So because of that, and because he's one of the last ones from that ninja clan, he is a lot more emotionally distant and kind of closed off because of that, because of what he's gone through in the past. But he is sort of like a teacher or mentor to Inju. And like I said, they're cousins, so there's more of a I wouldn't want to say like a childhood friend trope. I don't want to say it's this one. It's more of like a friends to enemies to lovers, and I can't say anything more than that, but that's the closest I would say. Besides that, and like a mentor slash teacher trope, I would say that. And I'll go into more about how I thought about his route in a little bit. Then, of course, there's Kirayuki. And I had to put the gif because every time I see Kirayuki in the game, that's what I'm reminded of. I'm like, I used to go to Warped Tour back in the early 2000s. I was also an emo kid. The emo kid inside of me is like, yes, slay. The other part of me is like, Warped Tour wants its haircut back. So I was not super into Kirayuki's hairstyle, especially when you pair it with the fur. It just feels kind of off to me personally. It's just my personal opinion. I feel kind of bad because I feel like Kirayuki deserved a little bit better of a character design. It's just not my favorite. I think it would have looked better if there wasn't these long pieces right here that looks like he just went crazy with the razor. So yeah, he was not my favorite visually. He is the Yondir route, I'll say, kinda. Sorta, yeah. I won't go more into that until in a little bit, and I'll barely touch on it, nothing spoiler. He is also the same age as our main character, Inju. I believe he's the only one that's the same age. The only other one, Gekamaru, I believe he's 3 years older. So he's the same age. His plot, or his route, is very plot heavy. There's a lot of mysteries in the main common route and other routes that you're just kind of left wondering what happened, or I won't say more than that. But his route, a lot of questions are answered. So that's what his route is mostly focused on, is those sort of mysteries. And I put this gif here with the milk because if you know anything about Nightshade, anytime Nightshade's brought up, this is probably brought up. There's a lot of talking about suckling breasts because they were the same age. They grew up together and they suckled from the same breast, and it is mentioned quite a few times, and I think that also took away from his route for me, but I'll get into that later. Then finally there's Gekamaru. I would say Gekamaru is the poster boy of Nightshade, even though there isn't technically a poster boy because they're all included. I would say Gekamaru is the poster boy. I believe he is the true root, and he is also another favorite of mine. Going into Gekamaru's route, I thought he was going to be kind of boring, not gonna lie. I've seen him so much in all the other routes, and then mostly in the common route, I thought I knew how he was gonna be. And although it doesn't stray from it, he's still overly protective. He's her bodyguard, and they have like the childhood friends to lovers trope. I ended up really liking Gekamaru. It took me by surprise. There's a lot of really sweet moments in his route, but there's also a lot of angst in his route as well. I don't think it's as heavy as Chojiro's, but it's still pretty heavy. So I would definitely leave him for last. Or I think it'll take away from a lot of the other routes too, because a lot of the mysteries are answered in his, if they're not answered in Kirayuki's, and there's a lot of surprises, and his is definitely the best to leave for last, because I think it's one of the best. And then we also have Inju. Now, Inju, I think visually she's gorgeous. I loved her character design. I love her shinobi outfit. And I think she's a pretty cool MC. Do I think she's one of the best? Probably not. She kind of changes in certain routes. Like, I did not enjoy her in Kirayuki's route. I think a lot of her agency got stolen or just wasn't shown. While she has a lot more agency in, say, Hanzo's route, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But what and the thing is that she's a shinobi and she's trained a lot, but you don't really get a lot of chances to see that outside of the common route. When you go into the different individual character routes, the only time you really get to see her shine as like a strong shinobi is in Hanzo's and a bit in Gekamaru's. If it's Kiryuki's or Chojiro's or Goemon's, you don't really get to see that. It's more of a damsel in distress trope, which I don't mind every once in a while. There's times for that, and I can enjoy it, but I would have liked to see more of a balance. And that's why I put this gif here, because I was like, girl, come on, you can give a little bit more, and I wanted her to. But I will also say, from the things she goes through, and not just like the angstier routes, but just in the game in general, I think she's very emotionally strong, and I will not discount that because that is a strength as well. And I will say that she's very emotionally strong. As for the other characters, I really liked the side characters in this game. Sometimes in Otome they annoy me, or I just feel like sometimes they're a little pointless. For those characters, I really liked them. They had their individual personalities. I think they added to the game. I really liked Inosuke and Kairara. I kind of shipped them together. Inosuke, he was great as a male side character that isn't romanceable, because I wouldn't want to romance him anyway. I really liked them together, and that's their names from the left to right. So it's Inosuke, in the middle is Katsumi, and the far right is Kairara. I really liked them. They all had their different individual ninja weapons. They had a kind of like a found family trope, kinda, sorta. So I really liked them. As for the system, it threw me off quite a bit because it's different than what I'm used to. I showed this specifically because in the side to the right, you can see all the buttons you need for the game, which is not something I've come across a lot. And it kind of... It first off, going into another Otome after Nightshade, I was pressing all the wrong buttons because I was so used to the buttons in Nightshade. So I'd accidentally keep getting the quick save button and the skip ahead button just because it's mapped differently in Nightshade. I did like that all of the buttons that you need are in the corner, but I did not like the way the buttons were mapped because I'm so used to the way other Otomes are. But it's also, I think it's quick to pick up, but it's not as quick to let go of, because that's something I struggled with a little bit when I started playing Winter's Wish, is because I kept accidentally skipping ahead, and that's very frustrating. But there is, in the left side of the text box, it does show Inju, which I really appreciate. I think it shows her blinking, I'm pretty sure. Not like a bunch of different reactions, but I did like that. I love that in a Otome game, like Olympia Soiree, my favorite. I really enjoy seeing our characters' design in the corner. It makes me, for some reason, it's not as jarring to see the character in the CGs. And it helps me just become a little bit more absorbed in the story. So I really like that. There is a skip read button, but there is not a skip all button. So keep that in mind. And I will say, during my playthrough of the skip read button, sometimes it would not skip certain parts that I know I've read. Maybe one name was changed, but I don't need to, like, if I've already read it, even if there's just like a minor change, I don't want to read it again. So that was a little annoying. I'd have to manually skip through that. And there's also a love catch system, so you know if you made the right choice or not for whichever ending you're going for. I don't believe there's a love catch for like the bad endings, but there are ones for the good endings. So I guess when you're trying to go for the bad endings, you'll make sure not to get the love catches. And there's also the love catches in the common route, so you know which character you're going to end up with once you branch off into the individual routes. So there's that. And also in the system, in the menu, there is a relationship little picture. I don't know what the right word is to say, so you can see your levels of romance with them. It's in the flower form. So, my overall thoughts is where I'll get into a little bit more. For my positives, there was a good balance of angst and happy. I believe it's about right in the middle. And some of the bad endings I feel like made sense, and then the other ones kind of felt a little bit random. The bad endings weren't like, they were angsty, but plot wise, I did not like Hanzo's bad ending. I liked Chojiro's bad ending. Gekumaru's made sense. I couldn't tell you what happened in Kurayuki's bad ending. But I would say it was a good balance of angst and happy in the good ending routes. I will also like to say that I preferred the bad ending CGs for the most part. I also put funny memes in the community because Nightshade is notorious for certain things, like for it being a weird game, like the massive age cap, the cousin, the breast suckling. So I think that's funny. I like when we can make fun of games, like in a loving way and an endearing way. So I feel like that was something to just throw in as a positive. It is a fast playthrough. Took me 20 hours to beat Nightshade completely 100%. I think I might have missed a bad ending in the common route, but I'm too lazy to check. But it took me 20 hours. I am also the type of player that will skip some like NPC voices, or if a character is really slow to speak, I will skip it sometimes. Just depends on my mood and how much time I have to play. But now that I'm reviewing, I'm going to take my time a little bit more with that. But it is a fast playthrough, so if you're someone who listens to every single voice line, it might take you maybe 25 to 30 hours, depending on how fast you play. But for me, it was on the 20-hour end, which is relatively short for an Otome game, because some games like an Olympia Soiree or Collar Malice or Winter's Wish, it can take anywhere between 40 to 60 hours. I believe also Nightshade has something for everyone. There's different tropes. If you like Kundere, if you like childhood friends to lovers, or a overprotective bodyguard, a yandere, I believe there's a route here for everyone. There might be someone that'll speak to you. If you like the really angsty ones, you like Chojiro's. So I'd say that is a positive. I believe the battle scenes were also really done really well. I liked the different poses. I liked the change of ninja outfits for most of the males. I'll say Goemon's is my favorite. The music is great. I don't know if you can hear it in this video, but I am playing it in the background. Their OSTs, great music. The backgrounds for when they're traveling in the game are really well done. I believe there's enough to where you could tell when they're at a different place, and it's not super repetitive. So I wanted to say that as well. Okay, so I went and double checked, because I thought there was some kissing CGs. I totally had a brain fart. There are kissing CGs, and they are really nice. They're just not in every route. And I did put an edit onto the actual slideshow, but in case anybody's just listening and not watching the slideshow, there are kissing CGs, just not for every route. So please disregard my oncoming rant about it. I'm just gonna leave it in just because it's how I felt and how I do feel about Otomes that don't have kissing CGs, but there are some in Nightshade, just to let you know. Now for my negatives. The CGs. I won't say the CGs are bad, because they're not. They're well drawn. But there's no kissing CGs. Are you kidding me? That took a whole star away from me in my rating. I do all this work, I go through all this angst, all this romance, all these emotions, and I don't even get to see them kiss? That's a negative for me. I'm sorry. I'm a romantic. I like to see the kissing. I like to see the romance. So, no kissing CGs. That is a negative for me personally. And repetitiveness. Do I think it's repetitive enough to where it's unplayable? Absolutely not. But it is repetitive in the way that a lot of the a lot of the individual routes end the same exact way. And if you play it, you know what I mean. Same with the bad endings. A lot of the bad endings ended exactly the same too. And that's pretty annoying. There are, of course, like smaller changes, but they all kind of ended the same, and that was a little disappointing for me. And of course, there's no skip all button, so you're gonna have to manually do the skip red, wait your few minutes until you get another choice, and then you skip. So that takes a little bit of time. That might be just because it was localized in the very beginning of the Nintendo Switch, back in 2018, but that is a negative that I think should be mentioned. For route ranking, I put Hanzo and Gekamaru at the top. To be honest, they're kind of even for me. They're kind of, it's really hard for me to choose between the two. Personally, I would probably, I really like them both. Asking me to pick is kind of impossible. I like them both for different reasons and for similar reasons as well. I liked Inju in both. I liked both love interests. I think they had the most interesting things in the routes. I kind of would like to maybe lean a little bit towards Gekamaru because I feel like it's more of the true route. But I preferred Inju even more in Hanzo's, and I really liked Hanzo. I think I liked Hanzo. I don't know. I don't know if I say Gekamaru because he has like newness bias because I played him last. They're kind of tied for me. I'll just say that. Goemon. I think Goemon's is a very good middle of the route. More lighthearted. A little bit predictable, just a little bit. But not bad. I put Chodoro second to last. And the reason why is because my gripe for their route is there was a lot of separation in his route where they're separated and it's super angsty. She's thinking about him. He's thinking about her. There's this big issue in the plot I won't get into. But I think personally it would have benefited more if there was a more of a will they, won't they, close proximity, more confliction in that. But there are some moments in that route that I really enjoyed too. So for it to be second to last, it's not a bad route. I enjoyed it. But I think there could have been a bit more of an improvement in that route. And then I put Kuruyuki's last simply because I don't think it's memorable. I'm sorry. Outside of the plot relevations, I couldn't tell you a lot of what happened in his route. I think also because I played Hanzo's, Goemon's, Chodoro's, I knew the formula and how it was gonna go. So I put his last because of that. The love interest ranking, I did put Goemon top, which that's a personal bias. I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with that, and that's fine. That's just me personally. I just really liked him, and I think the reason why I put him first is because he was an unexpected like for me. Like, I thought I was going to like Hanzo the most because that's what everybody likes, and although Gekamaru and Hanzo are tied for second in the love interest ranking for me, Goemon pulled ahead just a little bit more just because I really enjoyed him as a character. Not only in his route as a love interest, but I liked him in other routes too. Anytime he showed up on the screen, I was happy. And I would like to say Gekamaru and Hanzo are tied for love interest ranking just because I like them both for similar and different reasons, like the overprotectiveness, bodyguard kind of thing. It depends on the day. If you ask me today, I might put Hanzo over Gekamaru, but if you ask me tomorrow, I might put Gekamaru over Hanzo. Just kind of up in the air, so they're tied. And then I put Chodoro second to last, which I feel kind of bad about because they're, like, I keep saying that about Chodoro's. I just think it should have been improved, and if it would have been improved, it would have been a lot higher. For Chodoro's, like I said, there's a lot of separation, so you didn't really get to see a lot of their romance. And then a lot of their romance was just so angsty and heavy that you didn't really get to see like the more lighthearted romantic moments like you get to see with Goemon or Gekumaru or Hanzo. And then of course, again, Karayuki's last, which is so disappointing for me because I came into this game wanting a Yondir and I did not get what I wanted. I don't really like Hiroyuki. I think he's cool in other routes, but in his route, it was just, I don't know. For some reason, just something, he just did not do it for me. All the way from his character design to the way he was written. I will say, there was some things about him that completely surprised me that I thought was cool. And I don't think he's a terrible character. He just wasn't for me. I think he's good for other people, just not for me. So that's where I picked Kuriyuki. That's all I can really say about him. For my rating of the game, I put it at a 7.5 out of 10 stars. I wouldn't even argue against an 8 out of 10. I did take a full star away because of the lack of kissing CGs. I took away a full star because of the repetitiveness of the game. And then the half star is mostly, I don't know. I feel like 7.5 is more true to my feelings than an 8 out of 10. But I wouldn't argue against an 8 out of 10. It's just, that's just where I feel about the rating. And I do have a written document of my review of Nightshade, and I will include it, I'll link it to wherever I post it in the box below. So if you'd like to look into that, where I typed out a little bit more of my thoughts, it'll be included down below. Would I recommend Nightshade? Yes, I would. I think it's a good palate cleanser if you've been playing a lot of modern romances and you want to get more into like a time period, older Japan, kind of like a historical Otome, but you don't want something that's super plot heavy or super true to actual history, like a Rising of Junpei, a Brishwana, if I'm saying that correctly. So that's why I would recommend it. It's ninjas. What's not to like about ninjas? I would not recommend it to somebody who gets bored super easily, or if you need something that's a little bit more steamier or spicy, because there's none of that. Maybe just like a tad, just like the taddest in Hanzo's, but if you compare it to steamier titles like Sympathy Kiss or Olympia Soiree, there's nothing like that. And that's not a negative. I think there's something for everyone. I like spicier titles, and I like some that doesn't have spicy. It doesn't have to be spicy for me to think it's a romance or enjoy the romance. But I'm just saying, if that's something you're looking for, you won't find it in Nightshade. I wouldn't recommend it if you want a main heroine who's super strong or has a lot of personality. Not to say Inju didn't have personality, but I've seen other main characters who had a lot of personality, and that might be something you'd like, where if you like to play a character that's a little bit more of a self-insert. I think Inju isn't a total self-insert. She has a face. She does have a bit of personality. She has a lot of history with some of these characters in the game, but she's also not super like headstrong or has a lot of personality like I've heard about like the main character in Tenjoku Struggle, and I will mention that when I review this one. So that's how I would recommend it, and who I would not recommend it to. I would say it's also a good play if you're if you're caught up on your backlog and you just need something to get you to the next release, because it's not super long, on the shorter end, or you're just want something you can pick up for an hour before you go to sleep every night. I think Nightshade's a good one. So that is where I end my PowerPoint. And like I mentioned in the beginning, my YouTube channel, I'm probably going to be reviewing and talking about a lot of Otome, but there's also a lot of other things I'm really interested in. I play a lot of different video games, not just Otome. I play a lot of Genshin Impact, so I might make a few Genshin Impact videos. I read a lot of manga, and I watch a lot of anime, so I think it'd be fun to maybe make a recommendation video based on maybe some manga or anime and say, okay, if you like Olympia Soiree, you should read or you should watch. Or if you like the Apothecary Diaries, maybe you should play those kind of things, like this or that. I could also do some first impressions videos based on Otome, but not like a full review, more of like a bite-sized first impression / review. I could also do videos based on my full month, like full month of April, what I read, watched, played, and do more bite-sized intermediate reviews for that. So just let me know down below what you thought. If you've played Nightshade, let me know what you thought about it down below. Please mark spoilers correctly so other people who want to play it or haven't played it yet don't get spoiled for simply looking in the comment section. And just let me know what you want to see more down below. My next reviews, since this one was more off the cuff and I wasn't planning to review it before playing it, I'd say for my next reviews, I really want to review Winter's Wish Spirit of Edo. I'm still playing it. I'm still on my first route, so it's going to be a while, and I might put it on the back burner just to play Tengoku Struggle. So I would say my next reviews are either going to be Tengoku Struggle or Winter's Wish Spirits of Edo. Either way, I plan to review both. I just don't know which one's going to be first. So, yeah. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.